So I actually got this Game Boy Advance from a friend of mine who said she had it lying around in one of her drawers and it was just gathering dust. So first of all, thanks a lot for that. This is going to be made of good use. I wanted to actually wanted to get a new screen protector for it, and it's missing the battery compartment, so I thought, oh, I'll order that. And while I was browsing on online for a new replacement, I came across this one, which is a Game Boy Advance. I believe it says up here, it says Pokemon Center New York edition, and I thought that'd actually be pretty cool, alongside another mod that I wanted to add to it, which is a Game Boy AGS-101 screen, which is the brighter backlit version. I'm going to put that into this. Got a converter cable for that. Hold on. Tiny cable, as you can see, and want to install that into this and make it basically a brand new Game Boy Advance with a nice backlit screen. So I'm going to take this apart and I'll show you guys what needs to be done on the inside. So this is the Game Boy Advance fully disassembled. Here's the front piece with the screen that we're going to replace, but as we're replacing all of the housing, I just left it in here. It's the back piece where the battery goes in. This is the main motherboard, and that's what we'll be focusing on. There's a couple of things that I need to solder. So first of all, the cable that comes off of the old location to the new screen has a little wire attached that needs to go to one of these tiny little parts on the board, and we need to make a little jumper wire that comes off of ground here and goes to that pin over there. So I'm going to solder those up. Well, first solder that link up, and I will get back to you when that's done. So each of the pins are now soldered up. I take a little care if you're doing this yourself. This connection right here is really small. It's a DA1. You need the left leg, but right behind that there's a tiny little component that, if you're not careful, you could completely solder that up, and that could cause all sorts of catastrophic problems. So I've hooked up the new connector into its old ribbon connector, wired that up to the left leg of DA1, and on the other side, let me show you, goes from ground to, well, that pin that I pointed out earlier. It's also really small. All of the board on the Game Boy Advance, obviously, because it needs to fit in such a tiny space, there isn't much to it. So that is actually quite impressive. I'm going to need to carve out the screen position so the new screen will fit in, and I'll show you when I get back. Let me actually show this to you. So the front housing is where the old space is for the previous screen, and this is the new screen. And if you just try and put that in here, like so, you'll notice that it will be at an angle. Don't know if that shows up on camera. Yeah, I think it does. So it's at an angle, and that's due to some plastic bits all around the bottom of this are actually holding this up. So I'm going to have to mark this and cut that out with an X-Acto knife, and then this screen will fit properly. And when I've done that, I'll show you how that looks. Alright, so I've cut out the bezel from the front part of the Game Boy Advance. There's a couple of things you need to think of when you're doing this yourself. There's a rising edge on top of here that needs to be completely removed, otherwise the screen is going to be tilted in here. The bottom needs both of the ridges cut out as well. But once that's done, you can take the screen, you can put it in there, and it's completely flush inside of this. Now, I see people do this with hot glue to secure it, but I actually still had some double-sided tape from preparing an iPad screen, or you can use the ones for Xperia phones or whatever. But I'm going to use this. I'm going to cut this up to size, put it around the edges, and have the screen secured into place that way. So I've used the double-sided tape, and as you can see, it's in there, quite sturdy. That won't move, and I didn't have to use any hot glue, which I'm not a big fan of anyways, so it's win-win to me. I'm going to reassemble this. I'm going to have to fold the cable properly so it fits back on the motherboard, and then we'll give it a test. So the casing's back together. I haven't installed the front glass yet, but we'll get to that. I just really wanted to give this a shot. I'm very curious to see how this actually works out. So I'm just going to go and install some batteries, and then we'll fire it up and see what happens. As you can see, that's a bright screen. I've earlier on recorded another one with the previous Game Boy screen, the Game Boy Advance screen. So let me do a side-by-side comparison to that. Yeah, that's a hell of a lot better. I'm really excited. I'm going to finish this up and I'll show you the final results. So this is the Game Boy completely assembled. I am really happy with this. I kind of like the color. Yeah, big fan of transparent cases. My girlfriend not so much, so I'd like to know down in the comments below what you think of transparent cases. Anyway, yeah, is completely assembled, done, and yeah, I can't wait to start playing games on it. Right, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to comment the transparent case. If you like this video, a thumbs up or a subscribe would help me out a lot, and I hope to see you soon again.